Hey everybody, Mitch Ribak with eXp Realty here. Today we're going to explain all about eXp and why it's changing so many lives all over the states, actually all over the world. We're in 19 countries. So we're going to talk to you about everything today. But one thing I always ask people is keep an open mind, right? This is not like your normal brokerage. We are completely different. And I don't want you to have blinders on because of what you heard out there or whatever. It's an amazing company, and it's the reason why most of the top teams and a lot of brokers are switching their businesses to eXp Realty. First, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So anyways, again, my name is Mitch Ribak. I'm a chronic entrepreneur. I've owned 23 companies over the last 40 years. I've been self-employed since I was 19. I've made millions and millions of dollars, lost a little bit more, but that's life, right? And I got my real estate license in 2001, right? Sold a lot of homes, sold 36 homes my first year, 50 my second year, 80 my third year, and so on. Started my brokerage in 2005 and grew that from 6 agents up to 120 agents. So it's pretty good. I turned 55 in 2016. I'm 60 years old now. And I was just kind of freaking out a little bit. What happens if something happens to me, right? So I went to sell the company like everybody does with their real estate brokerage. Well, that's what I thought you do with a real estate brokerage, like every other business I've owned. But anyways, the funny thing about selling a real estate brokerage is the way they pay you. You get a little money the first year, a little money the second year, and your final payment, which is the majority of the money, you get your third year, but here's the catch. It's 100% dependent on the original agents coming over. So I had 120 agents. So I said to them, and I won't mention the name of the companies, there were 2 companies offering a lot of money. I said, so what happens if you guys aren't good at what you do and 50% of my agents leave? I said, does that mean my money I'm getting gets cut in half? They said, yes. Well, I won't swear the way I did because I'm a nice guy and I'm on camera, but I said that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, right? And I literally got up and walked out, went to the next room and called Jason Gessing from eXp. He's the CEO of eXp. Because I'd been researching the model for about a year and a half, and I loved the model. That wasn't the issue. The issue was me and my ego, and I'm a big broker. We do 700 transactions. So when I met with Jason, that was what I said. I said, we do all these transactions. I love my brand. I spent 13 years building my brand. I don't know if I can give that up. He said, don't. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, just be Tropical Realty Beachside brokered by eXp. I'm like, I can do that? He said, yeah. I go, well, that was a game changer for me. So I came home from New York after meeting with Jason, got with my wife, and got with Pat, my general manager, and just started talking through it and seeing if it was possible. We had a lot of overhead. We had $65,000 a month in overhead at the time. I had to see how it would work within our group. My wife and I had a long conversation, and we really just came up with this. What do we have to lose? Because the reality is, if we didn't like it, I could have just flipped the switch and opened Tropical Realty again. And that was the conversation I had with my agents. Trust me, none of them wanted to leave after we talked about it 6 months later. But anyways, here we are. We switched over in June of 2017 with 40 agents. We now, what's it, July 11th or 12th, 2021, and we have 1,437 agents growing at about 6% every month. We're in 44 states. We're in 5 countries. It's been amazing, and it's been life-changing for not just myself, but my agents also. So anyways, like I said, keep an open mind, and we're going to go from here. I want to introduce you to Glenn Sanford. Glenn is the founder of our company. Glenn is a visionary. I used to think I was like really, really smart until I met Glenn. I'm not that smart. He is unbelievably smart and a true visionary. Was in the tech world and then got his real estate license, built a team at one of the big franchises, and then 2008 hit. And remember when it happened in 2008, if you were in our business, or even if you weren't in the business then, we all know the market killed us, right? And what we saw with a lot of brokerages, especially the smaller companies, they all went out of business. And the majority reason why they went out of business is because they were so built on overhead. And Glenn said, there's got to be a better way to run a brokerage. And why do you need all these bricks and mortar? Nobody comes in. I personally had 3 offices, $18,000 a month in leases, 120 agents. You know how many agents came into my office? 1 or 2 a day. That was it. Some days, none. Many days, none. I have space now, right? Just a small 2-office suite, right? 180 agents here locally. Nobody comes to my office. So Glenn saw that, and that was an opportunity for him. So he started eXp Realty, being the first virtual real estate brokerage out there. He's very innovative, and innovation is what we've been watching now. Think about it. If you've been alive in this time period, like I said, 60 years old, I've seen so much in the last 40 years that has changed in our world. Let's talk about, we had VCRs, right? We had Remember VCRs? Yeah. Blockbuster. Everybody remembers Blockbuster. They were everywhere. And there is one left. It's in Bend, Oregon, and I believe they just turned that into a bed and breakfast. So I'm assuming you have a lot of choices of videos to use in their VCRs there. I'm just going to assume that. But they had an opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million. $50 million. They said it'll never work. Do you have a Netflix account? We all have a Netflix account, right? And they are now worth $50 billion. It might even be worth more now, but last time I checked, it was $50 billion. And so one store left, $50 billion. Amazon, what has that done to retail? It started with a little bookstore online and turned into this massive thing. I think Jeff Bezos is actually flying up into space like Richard Branson did the other day, next week. But what has that done to the world? Well, we're doing that to real estate. We are transforming the way people do real estate. And Glenn Sanford, I'm so proud to be in business with him because he's developed this program that just changes our lives. One of the things that's different from us and everybody else is we are not a franchise. Right? We're a brokerage. So a franchise, think about that, is Remax, Coldwell Banker, Keller Williams, Sotheby's, they're all out there. They're all franchise. They're all owned by individual people with a corporate structure above them. We're just eXp. We're just a brokerage. So what does that mean? Well, they have a limited space. So if you're a Remax franchise here locally, where we are, you're here locally. That's what you got. Very inconsistent, if any, growth incentives. Very limited support, usually one or two people. But as a brokerage, we have all sorts of tools for you. We have amazing support. We have no boundaries. That's why I have agents in 44 cities, 44 states, and 5 countries. We have no boundaries. So it allows us to leverage ourselves a lot better. And for me, if you're a broker out there, I'm building a brokerage within the brokerage. And it's something I could never have done just being a franchise. We live in a cloud campus, and what does that mean? We do a lot of our stuff in our eXp world, but because we don't have bricks and mortar, right, we save so much money, we're allowed to do and give our agents more support and more training. So think about that. I don't know how many MLSs we're in, but let's say we're in 800. I think it's something like that. So say we're in 800 MLSs. That would mean we need 800 offices, 800 receptionists, 800 copiers, right? Several thousand computers, right? 800 conference room tables, right? You get the drift. We need all that overhead, right? That's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars a month per space, right? We don't have that. So all that money goes back into our support and education for our agents. Pretty cool. We get a lot of people say, well, you're just a pyramid scheme. And I gotta tell you, I'm really tired of hearing those terms. We are not a pyramid scheme. We are set up just like every other brokerage, but the difference, and I'm gonna explain it to you, the difference is we grow our brokerage to our agents, introducing people so truly grasp movements. But let's look at Coldwell Banker. Coldwell Banker is an international company, right? They sell regions. And then those regions sell franchises, the guys that own the companies. And those franchise owners, they hire team leaders, managers, and recruiters to do what? They hire us, the agent. And then what happens when we get a sale? Who gets paid? Everybody, right? So it's no different than us. Just whoever's introduced you to the company, they get paid for entry. We just don't have all that middle level corporate stuff. It's just agents who've helped grow the company, they get paid. It's the same thing if you want to look at any company, really. You look at a sales company, a software company, I'll just use something out of the air. They have a vice president of sales, right? And then they have a national sales manager. Then they have a regional sales manager. And then they have local sales managers. Then they have salespeople. And who gets paid when the salesperson makes a sale? Everybody. So I'm not sure where the whole pyramid scheme came from. I'm sure from our competitors. But we are not a scheme. We are a phenomenal real estate company. And by the way, I don't think if we were some sort of scheme, we'd be allowed to be on the NASDAQ and be public. I think they have a little issue with that. We built some amazing tools for our agents. We have a thing called eXp Enterprise where you can get into everything. So it's a single sign-on for everything to get into from one spot, which is great. You're not logging into multiple different systems. Everything's in one place. You log into your SkySlope, your workplace, your website, branding. We'll get into all that. Website-wise, we give you a website called KV Core. Leads, I'll tell you the first thing that people do when they come into my office is say, hey, Mitch, you're going to give me leads? I'm like, look, if I give you leads, you now become dependent on me. I don't want you dependent on me, right? But I'm going to show you how to generate leads. And so we have training on our support system that actually trains you on KV Core and how to generate leads for yourself using KV Core. How's that? Generate your own leads. And by the way, a lot of them are doing it for free, or you can make an investment. We have a program called Make It Rain where you can invest into pay-per-click, and they'll do the pay-per-click for you and just send leads to your desk, to your computer, to your KV Core site. We do a ton of training. Right now we're doing about 50 or 60 hours of live training every week, and the beauty of all of our training, it's all archived. So if you can't go to a live training session, which is good to go to the live, because you can ask questions, of course, but if you can't go to a live session, it's all recorded for you to go in and watch at any time you want to watch it. So you can go do that any time. And here's the cool thing about our training. It's not trained by people who couldn't sell houses. Do we have a couple of stock teachers in there? Of course we do. We have a great education department. But a lot of the people are out there training. I train. I go in there and train. I still sell houses. I sell like 30 plus homes a year. We have iConversations on Fridays where icon agents, we'll talk about that in a minute, will come in and talk about how they became icons. Right? So you have different people in different fields. We have things on sales and listings. We have things on video, on social media, buyer presentations, listing presentations. They're all trained in it. It's all by people who are successful. So it's a great way to learn and it's a great way to collaborate. Our marketing and branding is phenomenal. It's all high class, it's customizable, or you can just use the templates that they have in there. You go in there, you click a button, you put your name in there, and you're done. It's really that simple. You upload a couple pictures if you want to do a flyer. We have brochures you can build. We have listing presentations. We have buyer presentations, postcards, door hangers, everything you can think of. All of our signs are in there. All of our business cards are in there. It just gives you a plethora. I love that word, plethora. It gives you a plethora of stuff to do to make you look great. And that's the whole goal, right, of marketing. We have Workplace. Workplace is by Facebook. And Workplace is awesome. Workplace is, so visualize Facebook, but it's for business. And inside of Workplace, all of our 1,100 plus employees work there. All of our 58,000 agents are in there. And we have multiple groups. For instance, I run a group called eXp Family Tree. And it's a collaboration group. We have about 3,500 people in there right now. And it's growing at about 200 a month. In that group, we sit there and we have 4 live trainings every week. We also have just agents pouring into each other all the time. And one of the reasons that happens, by the way, and we're going to talk about this again, but is we all own the company. We're a public company, right? We're going to talk about the stock in a minute. But being a public company, we all own the company. And what do you do when you all own the company? You treat everything different. I know I've owned my companies my whole life. I treated everything different. When I've given some stock to employees, which I've done over the years, they treat the company differently. We do that. So we all help each other. We have tons of preferred partners. I'm not going to go through them today, but we have a mortgage company, we have a title company, we have Express Offers, which is our answer to iBuyer program, sort of like Zillow Offers or OfferPad. We have our own. If you go through that, you are eligible to receive leads to get those Express Offer leads, which are listing leads. Pretty amazing. And we have a bunch of other vendors. We are always bringing on people, but they're all checked out. We have a very, very stiff and strong process to get them involved with us, and we have to check them out to make sure they're good enough to be for you, because we want to make sure. The other one that I will talk about, because I love it, is that we do offer healthcare. I'm not sure if your brokerage offers healthcare, but we do. And I'll give you an example. My wife and I went on the marketplace to look for healthcare. She retired in December, and we were trying to look at our options. For my wife and I to get health insurance is $1,800 a month with a $12,000 deductible. Remember, 60 years old, right? So they want to give it to me good. And so anyway, so my wife decided to stay with the school board for her retirement insurance, but it was a lot of money, so I didn't want to do that for her. I switched over and figured I'd test out the insurance first before we switched her over. So my insurance now, remember, 60 years old, is $320 a month. And it's phenomenal insurance. And I don't have a deductible. We have a per incident thing, which we can get into more detail if you want to talk about it later. But it's so much better than any other insurance program I looked at. And I looked at all the insurance programs out there, you know, Blue Cross and all these other major, Cigna, all these other major insurances. They're at least double the price for me, some triple the price, with $6,000 plus deductibles. We do everything in what's called the eXp world. I know I mentioned that earlier. And eXp world's interesting because eXp world is avatars. Now for me, being old, I was like, all right, what the heck's this avatar thing? I don't get it. Even my kids who are in their late 30s and early 40s, they weren't Avatar kids, but my grandkids, they explained to me what avatars are. So I was hesitant to use it, but all of our 1,100 employees are in Workplace, but they're also in the eXp world. I was hesitant to use it, and then one day my computer broke, my laptop. And I asked Pat, my general manager, I go, Pat, can you call our tech guy and get me an appointment to fix my computer? She says, no, go into eXp World, go into the tech department, and they'll help you out. I'm like, no, that's just weird. She goes, just do it, I'm not going to call. And so I went in there and I kind of stood out there and I'm watching these avatars going in and out of the tech room, and I'm like, all right. So I get the nerve up to walk in there and I sit down in front of a tech guy and I'm talking to him just like this. And he puts a URL in the chat box, says, all right, click on the box. And I did. About a minute later, he says, all right, you're all set, we fixed it, we found the glitch. And I walked out of there and I went, holy crap. That was so cool. And think about what would have happened in my real life, right? We got to call our tech guy. He never answers the phone. It'd be at least 4 hours before he got back to us. He would do the exact same thing, and I'd get a bill for $100. Right? He'd go in, he'd send me a URL to click on, he'd email me to click on, do the exact same thing. That was when I was sold on the whole eXp world. All of our classes are in there. It's an amazing place to collaborate. I'll give you another example. I was in Ireland a couple years ago, and I had a meeting with my San Diego agents. I have a lot of agents in the San Diego area. We had a big meeting, and we just went into the eXp world, and you can do it from anywhere. I could literally be sitting on a beach in Italy and doing all my work from there, between phone calls, Zoom, and eXp world. What else do you need, right? The next thing I want to talk to you about is life-changing for a lot of people. It's our revenue share program. It's our referral fees that we pay our agents for helping grow the company. So what happens is when you bring on an agent, when you introduce an agent to the company, and they get a sale, you're going to get 3.5% of that sale out of the eXp side. It comes out of the eXp's 20%, not your commission, as a referral fee for introducing that person to the company. You can earn up to $2,800 per year, right? So when I had my brokerage, if you brought somebody into the company, I would give you a $500 check once if you brought somebody into the company. And that was it. It was great on their first transaction. With eXp, you continue to get that revenue year after year, up to $2,800 for everybody you introduce based on their volume, and it's forever as long as you're both with the company. What a blessing, right? Now let's just look at some numbers so you understand it. If you introduce 2 people a year to the company, could you do that? Of course you can do that. Everybody can do that. That's not trying. People did that at my brokerage all the time. You've probably done it at the brokerage you're at now. But if you introduce 2 people a year to the company, the next 3 years, those 6 people, that's 6 people. If they introduce just 1, right, that equals up to $36,000 a year in referral fees every year. Think about that. What does an extra $3,000 a month do for you and your family? For most of us, I know it changes my life. I know it'll change your life. And the nice thing about that too is when you have income coming in and you're not stressing about your car payment or your mortgage or whatever it may be, you're now going to sell more homes. I'll give you a quick story. One of my agents came to me in January of 2017. So this is right before we decided to switch over in June of 2017 to eXp. And she was a little teary-eyed and sad, and I said, what's the matter? She goes, well, my daughter's going to college in September 2018, and I have no idea how I'm going to pay for it. And I told her I'd pay for college. And what was my solution as a broker? The only solution was sell more homes. But what she said to me hit me very strongly. She said, if I spend the next year selling more homes, then I can't spend the last year with my daughter, the last year and a half. And I get that because I've been a chronic entrepreneur working 80 to 100 hours a week. I totally got that. So anyways, fast forward to June when we switched, and I pulled her over and I said, look, here's your opportunity. Introduce some people to the company, and who knows, by next year you might have enough money coming in to pay for college. So fast forward to 2018 in September, she's brought on 7 people at that point. It's a little more now. One of them happened to be a team of 10. I think she had a total of about 20 people, and she's making between $1,500 and $2,000 a month paying for college. So really, for helping grow eXp's funding college for her daughter. How cool is that? And I know people that are getting their mortgages paid. I know people just making a few $100s a month paying their car payment. I had an agent call me not too long ago. She had introduced her first person, and she got $250 in referral fee from one of her first transactions. She calls me up. She goes, I don't understand what's going on. eXp just gave me $250. I'm like, well, you remember you introduced Denise? She goes, yeah. I go, well, that's what you get. That's what they're doing. They're paying you for helping grow the company. Pretty cool. So one thing I like to show, and I like this slide because this slide shows you how much money you'd have to have in the bank. And for the woman I was just talking about who makes 60, 70 grand a year, she would have to have $480,000 in the bank at 5% to create $2,000 a month. Now, do you think someone making $60,000 a year is going to net $480,000 in the bank at any time soon? Probably not, right? I can tell you as a broker, only making $150,000 to $200,000 a year, I wasn't going to put $480,000 in the bank at 5%. Of course, who's getting 5% now? That's a whole other story. But what it basically is, eXp basically gave her an annuity for helping grow the company. If you look at it that way, right? You know, you have this $480,000 you would have to generate $2,000. Where else are you going to get that? So it's an amazing opportunity. Does everybody do it? No. Do you have to do it? Absolutely not. Does one person who caps mean a lot to you? Yes, it pays for all your eXp dues and all your board dues and your MLS dues. It's pretty easy stuff. All right, so let's talk about equity. Let's talk about one of the best gifts that eXp has for everybody. Is we're a public company. So as a public company, eXp gives you stock for accomplishing your goals. So they give you stock on your first transaction every year. They give you stock if you cap. They give you stock if you introduce somebody to the company on their first transaction. If you become an icon agent, an icon agent is someone that caps and sells 20 additional homes, they'll give you up to the $16,000 cap that you paid in. You'll get that back in stock. Amazing, right? And you can also get stock by taking 5% of your commission and getting the stock at a 10% discount. All of us, I believe, have done that. It's helped so many of our families, and our real estate families, to have some sort of security. It's also created a safety net. I'll give you a quick example of that. One of my agents came to me last year and said, "Hey, Mitch, I'm struggling a little bit financially because, you know, a lot of realtors don't work in November and December, and January and February they're broke. And I can't make my mortgage payment. Can you help me out?" Well, I had my brokerage. My agents would come to me all the time for a loan because I had control of the money, so I could do that, and I knew they sold homes. I couldn't do that anymore once I switched over to eXp because I'm not a bank. So I said to him, I said, "Did you do the stock thing? You know, with the 5%? And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "How much stock do you have?" He goes, "I have no idea." I go, "Well, let's take a look." So we opened up his stock account, and he had 1,200 shares of stock. Right, he had 1,200 shares of stock, and at that time the stock was like $11. So he sold some of it. I don't think he sold all of it. Sold enough to pay his mortgage for the next couple of months, and his car payment and his food, and he moved on. And the beauty is for him is he became an icon agent, and he got $16,000 in stock back for becoming an icon agent. So he has lots of stock now. In fact, that $16,000 in stock we just talked the other day was worth $240,000 the other day. Think about that. They gave him $240,000 basically now for becoming an icon agent and being successful at eXp. Really cool. So EXPI is the symbol. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out, read up all about it. We've been on NASDAQ now for, I think, 3 years, right around 3 years. And we were over the counter before that. I got to ring the bell, very cool, really fun, being in Wall Street doing that. What an amazing gift that Glenn Sanford gave all of us by going public and giving us equity in this company. Amazing. We've been growing and growing and growing. I remember when we joined, there was 2,800 agents. I think I said this earlier. There was 50 in the state of Florida. Now we have, I think, 6,200 in the state of Florida and 58,000 in the world, right? 19 countries. We're all over the place. UK, we're in Mexico, we're in Spain, we're in Italy, we're in Israel, we're in Puerto Rico, we're everywhere. And we're in Canada. We're just growing and growing, adding about 3 more countries every quarter. So get on the train. Come with us. It's fun. Getting there. Collaboration, and we have international collaboration, right? And I'll give you an example of that. One of my agents in my group is in Portugal. And we're constantly helping each other understand each other's markets. In fact, they're opening up a development there, and we're going to help him try to bring buyers from the United States to Portugal. I have several of my friends move to Portugal. I never knew why until I started talking to my friend in Portugal and how much I've learned about that. But it's been interesting because he introduced people in Portugal, but he also introduced people in Brazil. So I've got people in Brazil because of Nuno in Portugal introducing people, and our Brazilian team's growing really big now. We get to collaborate all those people. So like in Florida, we have a big UK presence in Florida. So why not go to the UK agents and talk to them about referring business back and forth? Great stuff. Production, you know, some people will say, "Oh, you guys just recruit agents." I go, "Really? Have you looked at our numbers? We've been doubling every year. Our agent growth has been almost doubled every year. Our revenue's been doubled every year. Our transactions doubled. We're number one in almost everything right now as a brokerage. And it continues to grow. It's not going to be long before we'll be the biggest brokerage in the country, in the world. We're on our way there. All right, so let's talk about money, because everybody wants to talk about money, right? Everybody in this company is on the same split, on an 80-20 split, with the exception of a brand new agent. Our agent did less than 2 transactions the last 12 months. They're going to be on a 60-40 split for their first 3 transactions, and then they're at 80-20 split. So everybody's on an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap. That means you're not going to pay any more than $16,000 in commissions to eXp in your anniversary year. The cool thing about it is, like I said, I used to be at 100%. Now I'm at 80-20. Jason Gessing, who I mentioned earlier, the CEO of the company, he's at 80-20. Everybody's at 80-20. So no matter who you are in this company, we're all at 80-20. And so when I had my brokerage, I had like 5 or 6 or whatever commission plans, right? If I liked you that day, I gave you a different one. If you're seasoned, I gave you one. If I didn't like you, got a different one. It was all my mood that day. If I thought you'd do better, I'd give you one with better lead system. I mean, just everything was different based on who you were. eXp, everybody's the same. Fees are pretty simple. $85 a month is the fee. Well, it's a $149 setup fee. The $149 setup fee includes 1,000 business cards, folders, some pins, some other stuff, your website, and your first month's fees. The monthly fees, as I said, are $85 a month. $35 goes toward education. So there's no extra cost for education like a lot of these companies out there. We give you that, part of your $85. And then $50 for tech, which includes SkySlope, the eXp World, KV Core, and all the other tools that we give you, Breakthrough Broker. And then that's your only monthly fee, $85. And there's no like, surprise, there's another fee, there's none of that. And then there's a transaction fee of $65. It's $40 for E&O insurance, which caps at 12 transactions, $500, and $25 for broker review. So really, really fair, right? Fair fees. I mean, they're not high fees, but they let us do our business and be profitable. Okay. And finally, we're going to talk about core values. So I'm a big core value guy, being a business owner for all my life. I've always had core values in every company that I've owned, because I believe if you live by a series of core values, you elevate your company to a different level. And so here's just a few of them. We have a lot of them. I'm going to give you a few. One is sustainability. I remember all the major brands when we were first getting rolling, like I said, back 2017 when I joined, oh, they're not going to last very long. We're going to go out of business and blah, 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 blah. They're not sustainable, right? We're giving too much money to the agents. Well, we are profitable. In fact, more profitable than a lot of companies that are out there. So we are a very sustainable model, and we are flying off into the stratosphere with what we're doing right now. Collaboration. I'm going to give you a little example of collaboration. The collaboration in this company is something I never expected, really never intended to use, and I do it all the time now. And I'll give you an example of that. If you were going to hire me for my internet lead conversion stuff, remember I'm known as the godfather of internet lead conversion. If you were going to hire me, I'm going to charge you somewhere between $2,000 and $2,500 an hour. My rate, that's what I charge. eXp agents teams come to me all the time, say, hey Mitch, can you do a class for our team? I don't charge a penny. Why is that? Again, because we all own the company. When you all own the company, you treat the company differently. It's very simple. You want to learn how to be a luxury agent? Talk to one of our hundreds of luxury agents that we have. You know, you want to be a military, do military. We have a whole bunch of military groups that do military leads. I mean, there's just unbelievable collaboration, and we all help each other. When I used to have the brokerage, it was kind of funny. Agents would come to my office and close the door, really quietly say, hey, I got this great idea, and don't tell anybody though. I don't want anybody to know. I just want your opinion. And now people come to my office, they open, the door's open, right? And they very seldom come actually call me on the phone. They say, hey Mitch, I got this idea, and once we figure it out, we can teach it to everybody. It's a different mindset. We are all here to help. I do it all day long. I'm on calls all day long helping agents all over the world. So much fun. We've built a great community, right? We go to these events, and I'll talk about the events real quick. We have our shareholders event every year in Orlando. It was virtual the last 2 years because of COVID. We have our first live eXp convention this year in Vegas. We're very excited about it. But on top of those, we do events. Agents do events for other agents. Yes, agents do events for other agents. I was in Dallas this past weekend, and an agent put on an event. I'm going to another one up in Nashville this week. I'll be in 1 and 2 in Boston, 2 events in Boston next week. I'm actually putting on events every other month now in our local area here in Brevard County, Florida. They're not recruiting agents events. They are, how do I help you become a better realtor? And we open it up to anybody. But it was eXp agents helping eXp agents. It's pretty amazing. And finally, I'll end it on fun, right? Now, I have to have fun. Like my whole motto in life, if it ain't fun, I ain't doing it. I am having a wicked awesome time. Yes, I'm Boston. How am I having fun? I help so many people. I love contribution. I live by contribution. And so for me to help all the people that I'm helping right now, I just having a ball. I wake up every day with a big smile on my face. And here's the other thing that this has done for me. Remember I told you earlier as an entrepreneur, I've worked 80 to 100 hours a week my entire life. I work 40 hours a week now. Honestly, I don't work 40 hours. That's what I tell people I work. I probably work 35. I have an amazing life now. I'm in a rock band with my grandkids. I go to baseball 3 nights a week with my grandson. I'm home on weekends. I've truly been given the blessing of freedom. You know what I got? I got what I thought I was going to get when I started my brokerage. Right? I had this illusion that I'm going to build leverage through my brokerage, which I know as if you're a broker watching this, you know this. I had this illusion that as a broker, I'm going to build this leverage and I'm going to be able to have more freedom. But it doesn't create freedom. It creates more work. And all you end up doing is create a job. Being a broker is just a job. It's not freedom. So we're going to finally end on this. So in the screen here, you can see this is my granddaughter Lola and her seizure dog Bella. Lola has a very rare disease. We're very blessed. She's doing really, really well. But she could have a seizure at this moment. She's my why. She's the reason when I started looking at all this stuff, and I said earlier, what happens if something happens to me? I didn't know way to know how Lola was going to be taken care of if she goes downhill at any point in her life. And hopefully she doesn't. I pray to God she doesn't. But she's my why. When you're thinking about your life, you need to think about your why. So I want you to think about your why. I want to think about what happens. We're able to create generational wealth. Like if something happens to me now, my wife is licensed and my daughter's licensed. They just continue to collect my referral fees from the $1,437 growing at 6% every month. I just collect that every month. It's great. So I have the security of knowing as a 60-year-old guy with parents died young, who, by the way, I'm going to live to 142, so I'm not too worried about it. But I have the security of knowing that my family is taken care of for many generations, not just my wife and I. It's very, very cool. So think about it. Think about what your life looks like next year, right? Doing what you're doing today. What does it look like 5 years from now, right? What happens to your life? If you're continually going down the same rate, if you don't change what you're doing, nothing changes, all right? Anyways, that's my story today. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned something. Please reach out to the person who introduced you to this video to discuss joining us, and I hope to see you soon. Take care.